Joining us out of Ontario now is Jason Unruhe, political commentator. Hello, Jason. Thanks for joining us back here on PressTV. Now, Jason, help us understand this Xi Jinping-Donald Trump row the way you interpret it.
Basically, this is part of a larger strategy by the United States to place pressure on side of China. Now, clearly, Donald Trump came to office with the allegation that China was taking advantage of the United States in their standing trade relationship. So essentially, to Donald Trump, he decided that he was going to rewrite it or block it altogether. He was going to probably rewrite the entire thing in favor of the United States so that the United States could essentially exploit China. Well, China's not such an easy trading partner to bully, so there was resistance with that to a great degree. China putting tariffs on UF goods in retaliation. So as a result, the United States decided to create additional pressure on the country by trying to destabilize the domestic situation inside of Hong Kong. Now, it's no secret that these Hong Kong rioters, who represent a very small portion of the population, are almost wholly and completely funded by the United States. I mean, there have been pictures of many of the riot leaders with U.S. officials. And then when these pictures were published, they complained about their privacy being violated, but not the privacy of the people on the street that are getting attacked by the actual rioters. Now, this is all part of a larger effort to place pressure on China. Essentially, the U.S. is, without actually saying it, that if you come to the negotiating table, give us what we want, then we'll stop these destabilization efforts. It's a very underhanded way of acting. And this is China's very polite way of saying that these kinds of actions actually make negotiations more difficult. They're sending the message that they're not going to be cowed by such tactics. These kinds of bullying measures are not going to work against, what is soon to be the world's largest economy and the United States' largest trading partner. So basically, this is a war of words. This is China essentially putting the U.S. on notice that you can continue to do these things, but it's not going to make us come to the negotiating table at any weaker of a position. And they would really appreciate it if the United States would stop. And if the U.S. wanted real negotiations, then stop at the destabilizing tactics and go to the table and actually work out a real agreement.
Right, Jason, but this, at the same time, I mean, Washington has approved and is, has already started shipping weapons to Taiwan. I mean, and if Donald Trump's trying to get to a trade deal struck with Beijing, that's really not you could call it almost a misstep. And then even with North Korea, another Chinese ally, or kind of pseudo ally, but a lot closer than Washington is with Beijing or Washington is with Pyongyang. Here was another opportunity lost that Donald Trump could have used Beijing to try to help ease ties and, ease tensions, I should say, and improve ties and work toward denuclearization. Another lost opportunity. Seems like there's a lot of opportunities here that are getting squandered.
Oh, there certainly is an opportunity to do so, but I think that rather relies on the assumption that the United States really wants that. The United States doesn't really want a denuclearized DPRK so much as they want the DPRK to be destroyed as it exists. It's not enough to merely for the DPRK not to have nuclear weapons. They want the standing anti-imperialist stance of the country to come to an end. Denuclearization would be a first step towards that. But yes, in this case, if this was the short-term goal would be denuclearization, and they seem to be just completely ignoring that. This seems very much the way that this current U.S. administration has carried out foreign policy, rather than having a cohesive plan that has been thought out long-term, meticulously detailed in order to move towards a certain goal. It's almost knee-jerk reactions on a daily basis, flip-flopping from one position to another, no consideration for a long-term goal, just a very typical way that the current U.S. administration has done things, and not really thinking things through and just making sudden and drastic changes, not really giving much sway to the actual politics of the situation. That seems to be part and parcel for this president, is to try to run things as though he were a businessman, in part as a dictatorial leader of a business empire rather than a country that has diplomatic and political relations with other countries. And that seems to be very reflective in the policies that this current administration takes, which seem detrimental to what would obviously be the overall goal of the society and its political aspirations.
Thanks for joining us.